What's up, everybody? My name's Josh Herman. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to Archetype to the show, which is where we're making 12 archetypes through the rest of the year. I'm saying that name Archetype a lot, but that's the name of the show, so welcome. In case you don't know who I am, my name's Josh Herman. I've worked in the entertainment industry for a decade or more, creating iconic characters. And the point of this show is creating iconic characters or new characters based off of Carl Jung's 12 archetypes. I walk you through the entire process. This is character number 4 of 12, so we're going to be continuing this series throughout the rest of the year. I'm going to jump in straight into Zbrush really quickly. Today we're going to be using Zbrush and we're going to be using Unreal Engine 5. Not the new Unreal 5 that was released last week because I didn't want to update into a new system. But the next characters will all be rendered in Unreal 5. So let's take a look at that stuff real quick. This is the Magician. This is character number 4, 4 of 12. So this is in the previous streams you will have or would have seen me sculpt this character basically more or less from scratch from a sphere and create the character, create this. And in the last episode, what we ended up doing was doing some painting. I'll change the material so you can see it. So kind of this bright purple fuchsia colors that we're kind of doing. And this is more or less the color that we're going to be moving forward with. I have some more adjustments that I'm going to be doing and tweaking as we continue. But this is where we got to last stream. I'm going to switch back over to the model. You can see I'm just doing a very quick pose on the model. So as before and after, adding a little bit of a pose here. And we're going to continue taking this. The goal for our stream today is to basically get everything in Unreal Engine, which is where we have here. This is our rendering program that we're using, setting up all this stuff from Megascan assets and Quixel library assets. We'll be re-importing our character. This is the proxy that we had brought in before. You can see it looks roughly the same, but the colors, the textures are all very much broken. So we're going to import all that stuff in today, get it set up so we can actually finalize what the character's doing, the pose, what they're doing, and then we can actually, finish or get close-ish to finishing this scene. We'll also probably play with our time of day, our lighting, our mood, our weather, all that fun stuff. So today is kind of a combination stream where we will be taking the previous streams have kind of been chunked. So one stream was making this character, one stream was blocking out this scene, one stream was painting this character to look like this, and then so this stream is going to be kind of a combo stream where we're going to try to roll everything in, get it as close as possible to final. My goal was to finish this in 4 weeks, and this is 4 weeks right now, so it's going to be a challenge for me to do that. So the next stream, which will not actually be next week, it will be 2 weeks from now, might be continuing this character and just finalizing it, or I might have already finished it and we will start the new character. So that's kind of the goal of what we'll be doing today. If there's any questions in the chat, let me know. If you can't hear the music, let me know. It is pretty quiet right now. Now you can probably hear it. If there's any questions or there's any sound issues or any technical issues, please let me know. If you have questions, please answer or ask them on the chat. I'm happy to answer them during the process. They can be anything about career, workflow, jobs, things I'm working on specifically, releases of things, movies like Morbius, anything like that. I'm happy to chat about while we're working. So please do that. All right, we're going to continue with this pose, and then I'm going to export all this stuff out. I'll show you how you export out the character from ZBrush using the FBX exporter to import it into Unreal 5, how to get all your textures in, and all that stuff as well. So we'll do all that together. All right, let's finish our pose. Just pre-stream, I was posing this character. Again, not a crazy pose, so just a simple turn of the head, a little bit of an adjustment in the arms, and I can always continue to tweak this, but just kind of some little tweaks here. You can see me posing this or grabbing this scepter. And now I'm just going to pose these hands, at least a little bit. So just using the control button to mask off the fingers. There are subdivision levels on this. So I can go down to the lowest subdivision level, which is really excellent and great for posing. I could do all the fingers at once, it looks like. That might kind of work for me. Doesn't always work, at least for the first digit. Sometimes it does, and sometimes you get this weird thing where it just absolutely destroys one of your fingers. So we're going to try to avoid that real quick. So after we get this posed and we're going to export it, we'll import it in Unreal, and we'll do a little bit more scene assembly in Unreal, which will be fun today. I'm just going to have to do these individually, I think, which is fine. People get really annoyed when they have to pose fingers and stuff. It doesn't really bother me. you do it enough, I think you kind of get used to it. Hopefully everybody's days or weeks going well. Happy Wednesday, hump day. Do people still say that? I don't know. Alright, that's going to be a good starting point. Even though the fingers are kind of crisscrossing, that's okay. We can just do a quick mask from this angle and pull them apart. Sometimes also shove them together. I've noticed that when sculpting hands, sometimes when you make a fist, the fist will look really limp because most of the time you're sculpting a hand so that it's like this, like the fingers are wide open. But then when you make a fist like this, it kind of makes this like open clawed fist, whereas in reality you need to bunch all those fingers together. So when you're doing this kind of work, don't be afraid of breaking the model, more or less, right? It's okay to do that. I don't need to see that thing. I just need to make a general fist shape. You're wondering about what the process is for teaching at Nomen. Process for teaching. Well, you kind of have to be an expert in whatever you're going to teach. We teach specifically for, the software tool skill that we're wanting the students to learn. So you would need to speak with one of our education leads. And they can figure that out with you. I don't want to spend too much time on this, and this is not going to be a major element of the piece anyways, but I'll get this real quick. Just to make one last. Trying to get all these fingers to do like one last little collapse on it. And then we'll do this thumb. That will be fine. Kind of weird that the thumb's overlapping the fingers like that. Not really though. Just odd shape, I guess. Alright, what we need to do now that we've got our basic pose, let me just kind of rotate this slightly, of our character here. We're just going to export this, and we need to get all the textures out. I might do some paint over afterwards, and I might do some adjustments after we do these initial textures with maybe some emissive maps. That was something I kind of wanted to play with. But we'll export this real quick. The key thing if you're going to export to Unreal is you need to have UVs. In the previous stream, we added UVs to everything. So we should be able to do this relatively easily. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through each piece of the model. This is just a side piece. We don't need that. I'm going to turn to this white shader. I can actually delete this. Thank you. Have each one of these isolated. I can go down here on the right. I'm going to go to texture map, create, and I can also hit UV map. This will help me choose my size. 2K maps are probably going to be fine. Texture map, new from polypaint. So that will be add the polypaint information that I had. So if I hit H, which is my hotkey, you can see my polypaint information. What it's doing is it's going into each one of these and it's just creating a new map from that information. So I'm going into each one of these. Just hitting new from Polypaint. I'm leaving this up. I need this to actually be here because what the FBX exporter is going to do is it's going to grab the textures that we're creating right here. So when it grabs these textures, that will be a key thing so that when it imports it will actually have the color and it won't just be something blank. I don't think this actually has anything. I didn't even do any color map on it, so we'll leave that untextured for now, and we'll probably just assign some materials in Unreal and see how that goes. So these all now have textures, and it was pretty easy because you just go texture map, new from Polypaint, and you can see what they kind of look like here, which is great, nice and easy. All we have to do now is just go to the FBX exporter, and that will basically make it pretty straightforward. So that will be nice and simple. All we have to do is go to Z plugin, click this open, go to FBX exporter, which I can't find. There it is. You want to make sure that you have your embed maps option on, so it needs to be toggled on like this. Smoothing normals makes it so it's not faceted when it comes in, and all this is super, super important. Now, a couple things to note. This is going to try to export at a 14 million polygon range, especially if I go subtool all high, just to make sure that everything is at its highest piece. Importing a 14 million polygon mesh into Unreal is possible, especially with Nanite. Once it's in, it won't take very long, but it's not super fast either. So something we could do is we could go into each one of these and basically decimate them. How do you get a high-res mesh out is one of the questions that I've heard a lot of people ask. So, if this has a lot of detail on it and you want to get it in there, how do you get it out? Well, one of the ways you do that is you decimate. If you've never decimated, right above FBX, you can go here and you can hit Decimation Master. You can keep your UVs. This is important, right? We want to keep this. Let's see if it'll keep the texture map. I've never actually tried this. So we'll keep our texture map open and we'll say, we'll just go, the steps on the left are pretty easy. There's a 1, a 2, and a 3. Follow them in that order. If you want any of the ones, click them. After 2, you click pre-process. You can do all of them at once, or you can just do individual. I'd like to do current, so it's going to pre-process. A little bar is going to go across the top here to tell you when it's done. You see, it doesn't take a terribly long amount of time, but it is, depending on the size of your mesh, it will take a little bit longer. So I've seen it take 4, 5, 10 minutes for things that are in the 60 million polygon range, but for something that's around a million, it doesn't really take that long. Once it's done, you can hit pre-process or decimate. So after we do our 2-step or do our 3-step, decimate current, it is done. So even though it doesn't look like anything, this is the before mesh and this is the after. I'll zoom in real close so you can kind of see how this is nice and gridded and this is nice and triangular. But note that because I hit keep UVs, this mesh still has these UVs. If I turn the texture off, you'll see it's just the white texture, so you can see that more jagged texture. And this is it with the texture on. So I didn't even need to do anything as far as the UVs, they're already there. So all I gotta do is go down my list and do each and every one of these, and then I can export them. They'll all be decimated, it'll export a lot faster, it'll import a lot faster, and I like to save this as a separate file that will say decimated or something like that at the end. The way I like to do this and keep everything organized is I like to use the arrow keys. Up here on the right-hand side, you can manipulate and go through these, but if you hit the up and down arrow keys, right, it will go through these. So I like to start at the very top and then work my way through. I hit down. I'm going to hit keep UVs. Let's see that. Notice it's staying on, which is nice. Then we hit pre-process current, and then we're going to decimate current. We're going to go through that whole process very quickly. Shouldn't take more than a couple minutes to pre-process and decimate all this stuff, and then we'll do our FBX export. Once we're in Unreal, the goal for me today is basically to finalize my lighting. I want to bring in some sort of a fire or secondary light source. We might be browsing the Unreal Marketplace for that. Some of this I am intentionally, my process was thrown out, not out, but it was kind of upended a little bit because of the release of Unreal 5 officially, which is awesome. But now a lot of stuff on the marketplace is going to be more accessible for Unreal 5, and I'm still using Unreal 5 early access. So I'm a little worried about moving my project over to the full program. But we'll play around with it and see what we can do today. It's always weird whenever something comes out, you know, a new software comes out or a release comes out. There's always this hesitation and you know, is this something I should do? I don't need you to autosave, thank you. Is this kind of a thing I should do or not when new process softwares come out? It's just kind of scary. We're like, I don't know if I want to do this. It might mess up my entire scene. And then all that work is basically gone, which can be really annoying. So we'll see how it goes. I'm also kind of wanting to explore my lighting still. I kind of went to this foggy, hazy thing, and I do like that. But I'm not sure if that's quite the vibe that I want for the scene. This one's taking a long time to apply this decimation. It shouldn't be taking this long. How's everybody in the chat doing? I hope everybody's doing good today. Why is this taking so long? Didn't do it. Process. I think I need to redo this one or something. Sometimes if you're using multiple subtools, it will run into like a weird issue where it just can't compute. So I'm going to try just pre-processing again and seeing if that helps. Got a question from Twitch. How do I light my scenes in Zbrush? Good question. If you're lighting your scenes in Zbrush, you can do it two ways. First is if you're doing the actual lights in Zbrush. You'll just go to your light settings here and kind of play around with that. Let's see if this works. This one is not wanting to go. We're going to skip that one and let it be, because I don't want to try to fight this thing and make it crash on me during the stream. So one thing you can do is you can go into your lights and adjust your lights, right? So you can turn on additional lights, you can turn on backlights and side lights and colors and all this kind of fun stuff. That's a good way. You can also use your light cap, which can create new lights and settings, which can be really good. It can be really good, especially if you want to do like really bright side lights or backlights or something, you know, that's going to be more of a rim light sort of situation. You know, this could be really good for that. So you can always use that. If you're doing it for illustration, I prefer to render multiple passes and then composite those in Photoshop. You can watch some of my earlier Art Jam streams on that, and that'll show you a little bit of how that process goes. It's pretty cool, though. It's basically rendering out multiple passes, overlaying them, erasing, well, putting some of them on different blending modes, depending on what the look that you're looking for, multiplies, soft lights, overlays, and then you can also erase out other areas of the renders when you're compositing or mask them out to be not destructive to create nice renders and illustrations. So like if you look at my portfolio, for example, a lot of the work that you'll see will be either Keyshot, Unreal, or Marmoset, or ZBrush renders. So for example, this is an Unreal render. There's still paint over on this. This is a Marmoset toolbag render, which there's very minor paint over on this. This is a Keyshot render with paint over on this. And then this one right here is like a ZBrush render. So this is multiple layers layered on top of itself, and then painting out different sections. So a lot of my work is actually ZBrush renders. Things like these are ZBrush renders, for example, and doing a lot of paint over on them to get to the final results. So it depends on what your kind of goal is. I think that's an important part to note. All right. You know, if your goal is to just have a viewport or a turntable or something that you can render around and spin around and show clients, or that you want to work better in, the lights are great in ZBrush. They're good. You know, they're good for working. The important thing to note about the lights in ZBrush is that they do not work with matte caps. So if you have a specific matte cap you like to use, they don't work with the lights. So just know that that's just not really how it functions. Still thinking. These are about 2 millions, from about 1 million polygons per arm. This is probably going to be the one that takes the longest. It's about 4 million. It's actually 2 meshes merged together. So you see, it takes a little bit of time, but honestly not that much of it, that much time. And once we go through the import process for Nanite, you'll notice that it does take some time, yes, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And we can also jump back and forth to our other scene here. So here, let's go to our dynamic sky. I am so far away now. There we go. Oh, where are we? There we are. Something weird happened in our rendering. It's kind of cool, but something weird just happened. Let's go to our dynamic sky, go to our details, and play with our time of day and see if that fixes anything. I think we need to change our fog. Our fog is quite intense. So let's try our weather real quick and just select like a clear skies. There we go. This is a great setup. I've had a little bit of issues with it, but it's pretty cool because you can select clear skies, you know, partially cloudy skies, which will add a little bit of fog as well. Foggy, which I think is what I was using, which feels overly foggy. Light rain, which feels overly foggy. A lot of this is feeling like extra foggy right now, and any of the ones that have a significant amount of fog. So let's see what's going on there. I think what I had done is if I go into the outliner, and let's go back into our sky. Let's see if this is done. It is. Decimate. The nice thing is once it reads the mesh, the decimation is nearly instant. So that's over now, and now it's a quarter of what it was, and that's great. And I could probably even go lower with this one. So I could say 10%. And now instead of being 750,000 polygons, it's 350,000 polygons. And the amount of detail didn't change that much. This one's not going to take much time at all. Yeah, that one will be done soon. Soon TM. We'll just leave that one then. The legs. Let's see, I was under fog. I've also, you can adjust the cloud coverage, but I want the cloud coverage to be high. You can scroll down in here, it's got all this fun stuff, but this is the fog density that I wanted to play with. There's just something weird going on with the ground. And I'm not really sure why this is happening. Feels like something just like kind of broke. Like the lighting is just kind of broken here. What's our time of day here? Yeah, that just looks busted. I am not entirely sure what's going on in this scene, and it didn't look like this beforehand, but I also didn't change anything. So we're going to go back to content. We'll go to third person, blueprint, maps. We'll open this one, and I'm not going to save anything. So it looks fine here. I'm going to go back into my file here. Don't save any of that either. This is where it was. I don't know why it was busted, but it was. And now we can play around with that. Let's go back in here. Dynamic sky, time of day. I kind of want to go back into that weather though. I liked the feeling of rain in this one, but I'm not getting a lot of the actual rain. Meaning I'm hearing it right now. I don't think you guys can hear it. Oh, I'm so much taller than this guy. I didn't know that this was how big the house was. I feel like I'm in a gnome village. Let's see. Get out of there. I'm not seeing any of the rain, which is kind of annoying. Even in the snow and even in all this stuff, I think that there's something broken with this right now. So I'm going to have to fix this. It might just need to be deleted and re-imported. Because I could also just do like a cloudy time and then kind of come back in here. And slowly work through the time of day to see what could be an interesting option. I just did in my last scene a character that was kind of like a more of a dawn setting, so I'm trying to avoid that if possible. But something like this is kind of interesting. Especially getting those shadows from that sun there. Where they're very backlit. I kind of might like that. Question from Twitch. What do I prefer? Do I have a specific forte to be be a general? Or be a generalist? And what is the current status of the 3D industry today? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the question. I prefer being a specialist, but that's just because I really like doing character work. It's more of a personal opinion than it is anything else. I think that in the industry you can do anything. You know, I see people being generalists. I see people being specialists. It really depends. It's just making sure that you like what you're, you know, picking, I guess. What's the current status of the 3D industry today was the follow-up to the follow-up question. The current status is it's booming. If you look at all of the stuff and all the content and everything that we all watch and all the shows and everything like that, it's an immense, like a significant amount of work. And people are getting amazing jobs. I was just chatting with an alumni who just got a job the other day. Getting amazing jobs, doing all kinds of things, working on a million different projects, from TV shows, streaming shows, games, movies, VR projects, you know, sculpture, 3D printing, medical industry. Like the 3D industry as a whole is just insane, right? Like insane right now. Like there's not really, it's just growing. It's just growing like insanely around across the board, just because there's so much work out there. So I think if you're just wondering what the status is, it's growing, it's bigger than ever, and I don't think anybody really sees it slowing down. So healthy, it's very healthy. Thank you for the question. All right, we're almost done with this. I know this is the more tedious part of the process. Once it's in, we'll get to have a little more fun in Unreal. And this last piece, I'm just going to leave this as is. All right, so we have all this now. This is our character. Now we're going to export it. So instead of decimating it, well, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down, save as. Just going to write this in my files as one that has decimated at the end of the file name, so I can save it but still have it there. And then we go to our FBX exporter. So this is on the left-hand side, or I put it on the left-hand side. We want to make sure that because we have our texture maps, we want to embed the maps. This is the type of map. I've preferred using pings. You can use a 16-bit map or whatever you like. TIFFs are fine if you want. This is for your displacement maps. We don't have any displacement maps, so it doesn't matter. These are your options if you want to export your options, your subdivision levels, your smoothing levels, all that fun stuff. We don't need any of that. Export. We want our embedded maps. We want a Maya Y up is fine. Smoothed normals. We want it to be tris. We don't care about any blend shapes. This file type is fine, and we're doing all visible assets. We could say all because we're showing all of them, and that's fine as well. This is just, do you want just your selected asset, all visible subtools, or all subtools? We'll choose all, and we'll hit export. We're just going to put it in here, which you can't see. That's okay. Magician, export. I hit OK. It's going to take a little bit of time to do this because it needs to go through each one of these files. It's going, each subtool, it's going to write the data. It's going to export the map, and it's going to create it and roll it into one package. So when that's all done, we're going to import this into Unreal, and it should, cross our fingers, come in as one scene. As I rotate this around, if I do, sometimes it does a really weird kaleidoscope effect, which is always kind of fun. But it means it's working. So as it's doing this writing data, we can pop over to Unreal and get started on this. I'm kind of liking this general lighting setup more than I had with the previous one. These are a bunch of trees that I had imported, so these are great. I can always use these. And I do have a black alder set that we can do as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to that. I'm going to hit Save All because I like the adjustment that I had. We're going to continue tweaking on this, and again, I'm going to do paint overs at the end, so we'll do a little bit more work later. But this is where we're at. I'm going to jump into the black alder map and make sure these are working. These are the trees that Quixel released as part of their Megascan's first tree set. So I want to try to get a couple trees in here, even though I do kind of like this, what we use as a reference point for this background. The Nightmare Before Christmas trees, as he goes into the world. It kind of looks like that dead forest. But there are some other elements, wow, excuse me, that we can drag and drop. And I'll show you that zoo, assuming it doesn't take forever to load in. And this will be a nice way for us to just kind of browse some assets and pick out some new things. Let's see, I do want to go to my Epic Games launcher. And again, Unreal 5 did come out today. We are using Unreal 5 Early Access still, just because I didn't want to potentially screw up my project the day before the stream. So future streams, we will almost certainly be using Unreal 5 full, because I don't know why I wouldn't. But, yeah. Oh, here it is. It looks like it's got some shading issue, which is interesting. We'll see if it resolves itself. It says it's building all the cards in the bottom right, which is behind the stream, behind me right now, so we'll see when and if it works. Alright, I want to go to the marketplace. I want to search the marketplace for fire. So if you've never used the marketplace, pretty straightforward. There we go. Epic Games Marketplace, while this does its thing, if it's still building a ton. It says 30% done, so we'll let the scene load. Marketplace is very simple. You can use it online. I also searched from the Epic Games launcher, for example. So this is the launcher. I typed in fire because I want to find fire. It loaded up this other web page, which is where we're at now, so I can get fire. So you can buy all of these fire packs. You can download fire packs. You can do all this fun stuff. I kind of just want some of these. Let's see what's in some of these. This is like super epic fire. That could be cool though, some of these super epic fires. Maybe if this, I had talked about this being like the god of death, right? This could be something interesting. Right now it's not supported by Unreal 5, which is kind of a bummer. But I do like seeing some of this stuff. We could totally use that in the future. Fire department, fire rain, fire effects. You can also search for free. We'll see if there's any free fires. This one has a lot of reviews. Yeah. Not supported, but we can try to download it anyways. Pretty impressive what you saw in the UE5 live stream. Oh, I'm sure it's amazing. I already watched it as well. It's very cool. See, this isn't working right now. So there's something broken in this scene. I've got this to work in my previous one, but it's not wanting to work. So we might have to omit these trees as well. I'm wondering if there's something going on just with the whole transition of Unreal 5 to being a full release, what all's happening in there. But I am super excited to play around with it more, you know, and just kind of get it all going. I don't really like the layout of this house. If I rotate this, do they all rotate it once? Okay, good. Let's just like grab these. See my ADD's kicking in. Oh, let's make this house. Oh no, let's just rotate this. Stay on target. Alright. I like this part of the scene so far. I don't love where this house is. It has occurred to me that the house could be larger. Scaling appears to not be as one group, so that's a bit of a bummer. Let's just kind of toss this in the background. I'm also going to make, I just generally like that more as it stands. I'll show you, I can also go window, viewports, viewport 2. This is just a second one. But I have a cinematic shot cam, which is what I was using before. I can move and edit in this cam as well. So I had like this axe that was like, you know, placed to kind of crop out some of that. Maybe a little tight in this now. Apparently it's also floating. So let's just zoom in. I might need a wider lens on this camera. Let's go to our outliner. Let's find our shot cam. You can also just search. I called it shot cam. If I search shot, it'll appear. Details. We're using a 50 prime. Let's use a 30 prime. This kind of feels more in line with what I'm wanting. Some of these trees I'm not loving right here, how they're pointing so perfectly to the character. I like the general vibe of what's happening, but I'm going to need to adjust some of them. So I'm going to keep this either minimized or on the side or just something over here. I do need to get another character. Like we could take this character. This is why I have this as a separate thing, by the way, because I can take this, shrink it. Know that this is kind of what I'm working towards. And, you know, let's say I want to maybe move this person to be in a slightly different frame. You know, or maybe they're just like right in the front. So we could get some nice framing, right? That's the fun part about this. I could also import some other assets. I had used some previous ones, and I was thinking about importing a previous character that I had used which was a Paragon character. Might be a nice way to just import and have something here. So I'm wondering if I can even do that. Let me see if I can do that real quick, because that would be nice, rather than having to create another character, you know, sculpt another character, put something on it. That's realistically just going to kind of be out of the scene. Let me see if this will work. I don't think it will work, but we're going to try. I'm going to load up my Unreal Fellowship short, and we'll see if that works. It's not a 4. It's 426. So it's not 5. But I'm wondering if I can import the character that way. If I can copy and paste, maybe there'll be something that'll work. We'll cross our fingers. We'll see if it works. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Looks like we got some more people joining the stream. Hi, everyone. We are waiting for our FBX export to finish from Zbrush. We're going to then import that into Unreal here, where we're kind of setting up our shot of our magician character, which is this kind of floating figure. They'll be replaced with the Zbrush file, which is still doing its thing. As you can see, it likes to pretend that it crashes. We'll be putting this here in a minute. Right now, I'm also opening up my other scene. This is another scene from, this is my Unreal 4 project. And this has everything in it. Probably... this scene. I don't know if I've opened this scene in a little while, but I'll give you a walk around of what I'm doing and what we're doing here. So in case you haven't seen this short film, you can check it out on Vimeo. You can also check it on my ArtStation. I had it uploaded on here for a while so we could play it, but if you'd like to watch it, you can watch it here. Looks like that comment isn't going to YouTube for some reason. It says I can't even comment to YouTube, which is very strange. So let me paste that in a second. Just going, accessing it another direction. Here we go. If you'd like to see it, there it is. That should be from everybody now. Cool. All right, so let's move around. This is a huge scene. Most of it is set somewhere where I can't seem to find it. So we'll just grab it and get there this way. Let's find one of our characters. So we'll actually go to Cinematics, Warden's Master. This is my sequencer. This is where I was making everything. And what I'm trying to do here is see if I can copy a character out. There appears to be nothing in here. I haven't opened this scene in a little while. So we might need to open a couple of these levels. There's the character. This is the character that I'm hoping to get working. I'll show you just a little bit of this real quick. So sequencer, we can open up, we'll just go to Snowy Approach. And you can actually look through the camera of that. And so you can see how it would be spinning, rotating over to the right, and then we have our character entering the frame. And they're just using some mocap. So what I want to hope, we're going to cross our fingers. What happens if we get copy on this? Probably nothing. But sometimes we get lucky. Edit. Paste. It sees it as an instance, but it doesn't see it as an object. So there's hope that at least we know that it does see it, which is nice, from one folder to one folder. So edit, let's try it this way, copy. This is an interesting view. Edit, paste. I don't think it's gonna let me. I don't think it's gonna let me. It sees the skeletal mesh, it has none. Okay. I'm wondering if it's even showing up though, like the materials. No. I don't think it's gonna work. I was really hoping we could just get this over and in here, because I would really love to use just something where it's like a person doing this pose, right? In there, but you can see it's using this skeletal mesh, so I'm selecting from this Sparrow. The character's name is Sparrow, and I'm using the Rogue skin, which is from Paragon, one of the skins that they had, which is cool, because then what it would do is when you played parts of it, I didn't want to hit that button. But there you go. You can see the cape will flow because it has physics in it. So that was what I was hoping to do here, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it out. I think I would have to bring it in a different way. But that was Warden's. That was my short film. He's my short film. We could also try, let's go to our launcher real quick one more time. The reason I'm hanging up on this so much is this will just speed up the process so much rather than building or finding another character. And I know that this is not really working in the scene either, so let's just move these. It's cool that you can come in and just like adjust individual elements. It's probably my favorite part of this whole thing is you can really just come in here and like drag and drop and tweak things till you feel pretty happy about it. Those shingles are so large. Like I kind of just want like this, but of like a finished character, you know? We'll figure it out. I could always go into the Unreal Marketplace and grab one. So just like we were looking before, I could grab a character there. I seem to have lost my Google Chrome. That's not what I wanted. There we go. This is a fire thing. Let's download this. Free. Make sure it's not showing any personal information. Great. Now if I'm in my library here, see I'm yet to install Unreal 5. This is Unreal 5, this is Unreal 5 Early Access. These are all these other things. These are all the things I've downloaded, which isn't all that much to be honest. So, Paragon, I was using this. If I add to project, you can see what I can add it to, but that was creating some issues. But let's just add this to our test. And then I just downloaded these fires. What were they called? M5. Medieval. I'm really looking forward to everything being Unreal 5 like compatible. Really looking forward to everything being Unreal 5 compatible. Because right now it just takes so much time. It just takes so much time to get everything to the point where you're like, even just importing those trees that didn't even work. They worked one time, they didn't work the other time. Don't really know why. But I like another character that's doing its thing. How does it know? I don't see a login. Which is confusing to me. It's like when I searched fire last time, it gave me a different thing. Oh, owned. Okay. Add to project. Testing stuff. Okay. It's doing its thing. Let's say medieval. Free. Yeah, they're gonna make me pay for characters, huh? Characters free. I just need something simple. I'm not looking for crazy. It's mostly going to be blurred out. None of these will really work. That's okay. Oh, we're so close on these logs. All right. What else could I do for that? What else could I do for that? Let's see if this is done. Is it still going? This process can be long. You can see it's trying to make me close the program. I'm not going to. I'm not falling for that. Still writing data. Still going through this thing. Looks like, just so you know, I'm seeing now that it looks like our YouTube chat has broken and is not showing up. So I'm going to pop over there. It looks like we got some questions For someone wanting to start learning ZBrush, is YouTube a viable option? Yeah, YouTube's totally a viable option for learning ZBrush. Pixelogic has a ton of videos. Check that out. How do you add Quixel to the content browser if you don't have it? That's a good question. I'm not sure. See, this is the kaleidoscope thing where it's working, but it's now just populating it so many times. All right, let's jump back in here. Well, I'll need to figure this out with a new character or something. And let's open my testing stuff project and see if we can migrate something out. Sorry about the YouTube chat, everybody. Feel free to keep asking questions. I'll be checking on it every now and then. So we won't miss your question. All right, testing stuff. There we go. You can see in my testing stuff, I now have like this, which is a folder, map. Demo. Let's go to our maps. Let's just see what this is. This is the free file that we downloaded. This is the blueprints map, the fracture map, the guide map, the reference map. Okay. Those just look like lots of lights. It is compiling 568 shaders, which you cannot see because it's under my head. But that might be why it's taking a little bit long. I see a fire. Is it a dinosaur head? I'm sure these will all. Directional control fires. These are the ones I want. Definitely taking a little while to load up if it's not loaded. Guide map. Hoping to be able to take. There we are. Oh. Embers, fireground, fire and flame elements. This is pretty cool. Cool. Let's just try a big one. What is this? I want this whole thing. Can I move this whole thing? Alright, I'm into that. Fire 5. Let's just try this real quick. It probably won't work as we saw before, but there's other ways to do it, which obviously we can migrate it in. But if I paste this in, it's lights, but it's not coming with the associated things. The lights are nice though. It's good that it's coming across with that. What we should be able to do, is let's try to grab this whole thing, edit. Is that what it is? Right click. Migrate. I want to migrate it to another folder. This is how I did it before. I feel like I migrated it to a new project, to an Unreal 5 project. Let's try in here. I'm getting lost in how I did this before. probably find. Show an explorer. I'm going to try this. It's not the folder I wanted. Content. I see it all in here, so it's in my files. I'm going to copy this. And I'm just going to bring it into my Unreal 5 project. In the content folder. I'm just going to paste it. I don't think this will work. But getting stuff from 4 to 5 has been a huge pain. I've only had a little bit of success with it. You'll see that's probably in here now. Yeah, this is the file. We'll see if the maps work. We were in the reference map, I think, right? So this is 4. Were we in the reference map? Yeah, we were. Well, we are in the reference map, but it's not coming across. It says it's compiling textures and shaders. Shaders compiling 1,000. So we'll see if this ends up working. Look at this, everybody. We're in Unreal 5, and it's working. All I had to do was copy and paste that whole directory into my thing. So I like this. Oh, our YouTube chat's working again. Copy. I'm going to try copying this. There's got to be a way to open this twice, right? Can I open this in like a new window? Oh. So, stop clicking on the smoke. What we could do now is obviously a little different. Meaning, now that I have fire, the ability to create fire, this is be able to create a very different look, and it's actually a lot more of what I wanted to do. This sort of god of death coming in, and I can come in and I can take any of those elements and I can steal them and I can put them on something. Now the cool thing about this, I want to check this. We're going to do it real quick. Big fire, tiny house. It is a super small house. Let's go back into it. We can close Unreal 4 now. Thank you, Unreal 4. We appreciate your time. File, save all. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to hide this. Go back to our effects map. We were in the... We can probably just bring in... There's got to be a way to just like grab them individually, right? I don't want to have to come into this map every single time. But let's get something like... What would be good? This maybe. I could also copy all of them if I really wanted to. I don't really want to, but I could. Oh, I realized that what I wanted wasn't exactly what I'm doing, but that's okay. That's what I'm wanting. I'm wanting it to cast lights on him. These things are going to cause so much trouble. This is what I want to do. Okay, let's get in here. We've got some things. We'll get that other viewport too. And then we're going to come in here. We're going to show. We don't need to show probably widget components. No, we want to show widget. We don't want to show particle sprites. We do want the sprites. I just don't want those little things. I don't know how to not show those items, but okay. I don't know if anybody knows how to show not the little icons. That's what I'm trying to hide. Anyways, dynamic sky, I wanted to come in here and try doing a nighttime shot. It's much more moon than I thought it would be. There we go. So what I like about this now is that I can play with the lighting and the fire and something coming out there. So I think I can continue to push with this a little bit if I wanted to. I think that this fire is a little intense, especially this one. I just throw it in the building. Oh, it's way over there. Those little smolders it was doing was actually kind of cool. But we can say, press G. Thank you. Press G. Is that Anton? Anton from Millman? I hope so. So there we go. Now we can start playing around with this a little bit more. I think we really like this kind of sunset from the background. And again, this is all temp fire stuff, but I think this coming in is going to add a very different vibe, which I'm totally cool with. Maybe a little too smoke in this one. I might just import all of them in here and just see what it kind of looks like, but I'm digging that I at least have the ability to dial this in a little bit more. I do wish I could get that rain to work, which would be really cool. So we'll see if we can get something coming out. This is looking all right. This needs to move. We need to figure out exactly what we're doing with this person. You know, what we're going to replace or if we're going to do anything there. We might just remove it for now. We got a good start though. Yeah, feeling good. All right, let's put this over here. Let's hide this for a little bit. Let's go ahead and save this. And let's check on our export. It says it was exported. Great. Let's check it. That took long enough. Come in here. We're going to make a new folder. New folder. Call it Magician Mags. Mag. And then we'll go into our content browser, Magician. This is the file I want, Magician export. Just drag and dropping that FBX in here. So you see it's going to take a little bit of time. I am going to make it a nanite object. And I'm going to import all. This is going to take a little bit of time. The reason it's going to take so much time is because it is a nanite object. So it's going to take the time. It's going to go through each one of those meshes. So if we go back to ZBrush, what it's actually doing is it's taking each one of these meshes, right? And it's going to go through them all, just to give you insight into what it's actually doing. It's going through each one of them, it's converting it, converting it, converting it, converting it, doing all that fun stuff. So it's going to go through each one of these meshes and import them. It'll take a little bit of time though. So in the meantime, we can chat about things. If anybody got any questions, see a couple comments. We got first one, which is, will Noman start teaching Unreal 5 soon, or is 427 going to be the standard for a while? I would expect that now that Unreal 5 is actually out, we would start transitioning to Unreal 5 relatively soon. Obviously, we need to rebuild and understand it better since it just came out. But I think we will probably almost certainly teach Unreal 5. Jared Kraszewski's here. Hello, Jared. Hope you're doing well. Your stream was looking awesome last night, man. If you don't know, you can watch Jared Kraszewski sculpt creatures with Matt Millard on Tuesday evenings. You can also watch that on YouTube or Twitch afterwards as well, so go check that out. If you didn't know, we also do a lot of other content, like, follow, subscribe, everything. So you can get those notifications, so you can see when we upload new content, so you can see the new videos, new streams, new interviews, all that stuff. Whether it's on our Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube page, we stream to all three of those, whichever one you prefer. Inspiring you to do the Unreal stuff. I was wondering, at some point, I feel like you got to get in there. You know, I think maybe some stream, I'll come hang out with you guys and give you guys like a 101 Unreal breakdown. Maybe that's an easy way for us to all start doing Unreal work. Any tips on becoming a character artist? Tips for becoming a character artist? Good question. If you're a junior and you don't have any experience, obviously, I'm assuming that's where you are in this. The tips I would have for you: focus on your fundamentals first. Focus on your anatomy, your fundamentals, just like the basics of all that stuff, right? Understanding characters at their core, so skeletons, muscles, what makes things up, right? You got to learn anatomy. You can see Jared there chiming in the chat. Anatomy, learn anatomy. It's super important to learn anatomy. My opinion on anatomy is you don't need to know what the name of every muscle group is, but you should generally know what they are, what they do, what they connect to, even if it's just from a graphical understanding. I really prefer learning from figure drawing books. I think that sculpting is great, obviously. If you want to be a character artist, that's what you'll be doing a lot of. But figure drawing books are the best to learn, in my opinion, because they're structured in a way for you to understand. This is my favorite figure drawing book by Michael Hampton. It's really broken down into smart ways, but you can also see like the illustrations are very clear as to what the anatomy is doing and what the character is doing in motion. And you know, it breakdowns muscle groups, and there's other things like anatomy for sculptors and stuff like that, which are great books as well. But figure drawing, just like the basics of stuff, like even just understanding simple elements like this, are going to be really key to just knowing posing of a character, proportions of a character. All this stuff I think is super important. So I'd recommend figure drawing. And then just start making characters. I guess that's the other part of it, right? Is at some point you just need to start making stuff. So I'm going to turn the lights on so we can actually see to make sure our character works. We're at 1860. So let's just say we're at 1200. That should be more daytime. We're going to drag and drop all these assets as I imported them. They all came in at the same time. I'm dragging and dropping them. He's so small and tiny. We'll scale them up. And the nice thing is, since it is in FBX, it all kind of comes in the same way. Now, one map I've been debating about playing with, and we'll see. I'm going to delete all these now. Goodbye. Been debating doing a emissive map. I think that could be interesting to kind of have this glow kind of coming out of nowhere. Let's see what that looks like though with our viewport 2. Viewport 2 was our shot cam. You can't really see anything. It looks like the fire on the legs is kind of just the same thing, doesn't it? Closer to the screen, I think. I kind of like the off the screen little scepter. Let's just like grab this element here. Any tips for becoming an environment artist? Good question. I realize I'm in the wrong view for y'all. Any tips for becoming an environment artist? Similar, learn composition, learn fundamentals, just kind of get into the basics of stuff. What it really kind of comes down to, in my opinion, though, is you just have to start making stuff. You kind of just have to start making stuff. You can have a great portfolio, you can have all that stuff, and that's cool. It's important, right? But you gotta, have all the ins and outs and the tips and tricks of everything. That's always cool. But at the end of the day, you do have to start making things. So, practice. Practice making environments. Practice making, your room. Practice making props, practice making different architecture, practice. That's the biggest, the best way to really get into this stuff is you gotta really spend your time in it. Is Unreal the future of filmmaking? What do I think? Interesting question. I definitely think there's a future in real time. I'm not going to commit to Unreal. Don't get me wrong, I think Unreal is great. I'm really enjoying using it. I think there's huge potential in it. Like I said, I am really quite enjoying it. Oh, look at that. We're just going to do a full-on hellscape, I think. This one feels like it should be. I'm just seeing this thing. I guess I could frame the character with this too, huh? For basically free. Let's put this in the back in the smoke so there's like maybe some fire in the trees. Let's see how big that needs to really be. Ooh. I wish I could share 2 monitors with everybody and make it a little easier to work. Just because I think that's going to be pretty cool. Oh, something happened with the connection. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my full stream screen. I do think that's kind of cool. Little... I'm just going to move it so it's kind of more in the back. But it is nice that it's giving this sort of, you know, light to everything over here. So I think I'm going to do kind of the same thing. I'm just going to duplicate this. This would be like the smokiest scene ever. Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. That was interesting. You can kind of see what I'm doing here, but I'm basically moving these elements around. Okay, I didn't want to move that. Try to find a way to make this easier for the stream. Getting a little blown out. It's just like a full-on raging inferno. This is clearly not in designed. Whoever made this did not want it to be as big as I made it. But it is creating some interesting lights. Maybe a little, you know, kind of overblown here, and it's definitely removing the whole point of it being kind of silhouetted and stuff like that, but we're getting there. Let's just delete this one for now, though. So you can see what it was adding, what it isn't adding. I think I'm going to add lights to the back before I add lights to the front. All right, so I'm saving. I'm going to now go into this blueprint. Oh, is it the maps? Sorry, maps. This guide. This is all the fire stuff that we have here. And just kind of grab a bunch of them and see what they could be used for. So I kind of like this one. When I see one I like, I'm just going to shift click it. I could probably just grab them all. Cool distortion effects over here. Then I'm just going to copy and paste them in. Any tips for gathering reference for environment art? Go outside and take pictures. Go outside and take photos of things. Honestly, the best way is to go travel somewhere. It doesn't have to be international. It doesn't have to be far. Just go somewhere and take photos of a thing, of a place. You'll learn a ton. Take photos of the areas you don't expect. You know, meaning take photos of corners and how things meet. Not just the classic things that you're probably expecting. All right, I'm going to go edit copy. It's getting really slow when I'm in the scene, so we'll see if this causes any major issues. And this is where I'm just gonna paste it. And there they all are. I'm gonna move them far away so that they're kind of out of the way, and I know that they're not in the scene. Also going to move them all up. Oh, undo, select up, so I see them all. So I have all these elements now that I can play with. Some of the ones that I'm excited about are these ones. Because this is like embers. And even just the idea that maybe under this character there's some embers. Come on. I keep grabbing the wrong triangle. Feels like he's powering up. I'm not sure I like that. Not sure I like that right there, but maybe if it's back like in here. Yeah. This one a little bit on the left. The one I just moved, though, not a fan of. Too big. I was going to take some of these, though. I want one that's like kind of sitting on the ground. It's probably more like this. These are distortions, I think. Let's try some of these. Some cool heat distortions. Just gonna get them in the right spot. This might be cool. Is it working? Not really. Some of it's working. Like this is kind of interesting. Like, can we frame this stuff to the camera? So you can see how I can basically kind of pull this away. And I'm going to just use sort of like a heat distortion effect. Might be worth trying. Ooh, that's really odd. How am I liking Unreal 5? I'm really liking it. You know, certain things are incredible, obviously. You know, Lumen and Nanite are legit. They are no joke. It does take some time, you know, to set them up and do stuff like that, but it's pretty cool with everything you can do. I'm going to grab like a ground fire. This is the one I want. I love how it like leaves like a trail of sprites. I want this to be underneath him. And like a path in his wake. Trying to get it to balance so it's not clipping oddly through these rocks. Like that. Move this out of the way. This isn't really doing much for my image. Let's delete that. Hide this, make it a little smaller. These ones all have lights in the background, which means they're actually casting lights on the scene, which is great. I'm sure that means that they take a lot more resources to run, though. I feel like I need some fire in the front. I did say I would light from the back, which is what I should be doing, but I want to kind of get the character set up with something that feels more natural to them. So this I'm kind of liking. Maybe a little big. He must be hot. Oh yeah. Alright, let's take that. That one's looking pretty good. I'm liking this. What's this? What is this? Just like a weird distortion pile. Let's just get that out of there. Don't need it. Alright, it's not really doing anything. Alright, I do want to get some lights from the front, so let's go ahead and try one of these other ones. Let's go ahead and grab this. This one will be good, yep. Ooh, that's nice. Put it in the wood. Put it in the wood pile's kind of working. Yeah, that kind of works nice. Makes sense too. Then of course we got to get this out of here. Let's see if we can use it to light the character. The camera is here. I can see that. Let's move this out of the way. I'm going to scale it up so it's huge. And at a certain point you're going to see it's going to, you can see it in a little preview in the thumbnail, how much it's adding to him. So I'm actually going to make this quite a bit larger. So that I can play around with this and decide if I want it, where it should go. I kind of like that it's flickering. It's kind of interesting. Closer obviously would light up the character more. I'm going to take it a little ways away. And let's just make it really, really large. Oh, that's kind of working though, isn't it? There's some weird distortion effect here. that is creating a weirdness here, obviously. But I think the idea of that framing is working pretty well. Even though I do like the trees as well being lit in the back, I could always do that on the other side. I do need to figure out what it is in this that is causing that distortion effect to destroy the scene. So how do we do that? It's probably like in the blueprint of that individual fire. What's weird is it's looking fine like in certain areas. It's just that like cinematic viewport for some reason does not like it. Like you can see here, there's all this flickering going on. It's kind of warping the distortion of the character. Here, it is doing that a little bit, but not as much. Now, what I could try is just faking it and making it smaller. And if we don't move the camera too far, we could do this. I'm just going to put it in front of the camera. Still causing these issues, but is that happening anyways? No, it's just with this. A lot of warping, but there's some good stuff in there if I can get that to be like kind of controlled. And then what I think I'm going to do, I kind of want to like, how do I just come into this view, like this blueprint? It's probably in here. Blueprints, materials, particles, fire 5. What one are we in? Is this fire 5? Blow, smoke, ember, distortion. So I bet you if I just turned off this distortion, so they've, when it was imported, it came in with all this other stuff. I'm not at this point sure if this is even the right one, but I'm using fire 5. And I think this is fire 5. If I turn off the distortion, does that change it? Not in here, but it's because I haven't saved it. Save. Still the same. Okay. Let's just turn off everything. Fire, smoke, fire top, blow ember. Saved. It's this stop. Okay, so I don't have the right fire. That's basically the problem. To get that actual asset. I'm also going through my outliner here, trying to check that I'm not having anything that's in the way. I don't think I do. I think it's really just this one, which it's saying is fire 5. So let's go back into our browser. Just get like a different one. Blueprints. Some distortion material. I might be able to just pull in another one that's going to do something similar too. Let's just look through some of these. Meaning they might not all have the same level of warp. That one has a lot though. Which one is this? Fire 14. What happens if I open file for Fire 14? Neat. Try this one as well. Try this one as well. A little far. Lost myself in the forest. I'm going to move this so I can have multiple monitors. One downside of trying to stream this stuff is I'm trying to show it off for stream. Sometimes there's a challenge because it's just working differently than you might normally. Alright, so our camera is here, at the bottom of the frame. Same kind of problem when I'm changing this. Still cool, but we're getting a significant amount of warping and distortion through that. Why is it just doing it to this mesh, which is very odd to me? Oh, it's doing it to all the meshes. Interesting. Alright, well let's open as a test. This one should be Fire 5. We're going to close file Fire 5 to our particles, fire, explosion, fire for blueprint, fire for, I don't know what the direction, I don't know what these all are. Let's try 14, I think is what we're looking at here. Now it says it's 9. I'm sure when I'm duplicating it, it's creating it. Yeah, I don't know what the source of this is anymore. Let's come into our details panel. This is Fire 8. Okay, so let's try Fire 8. Open it up. Here it is. Let's try just turning the distortion off. We'll even say like maybe snow, smoke, so it's very clear. And then we'll hit save. Let's see if this changes at all. So I feel like there's a lot of smoke there. So I'm not really sure why this isn't working unless I'm just not grabbing the correct files. So that was for blueprint. Do the same thing here, distortion, smoke. Embers, top, embers, just nothing, just basically kill it. Fire, Still doing the same thing. Okay. This is fire 8. Okay, good. Just double checking. Fire 8. Turn. Oh, it's changing this one. There we go. So that means I can find it. I could just turn off the distortion. Great. Okay. I don't actually need any of that. I can close all this because I didn't like this one to begin with. I like that one. So I'll come in here, delete this. Now I at least know which one I want. I'm going to frame up my scene back to where kind of it was. Kind of like that. Maybe even it a little bit. Maybe a little too far. Now if I make this big, we're probably going to see that it's distorting. Great. This is what our goal is. We are looking over here in my outliner when I selected it. I didn't realize it was, when I was duplicating it, it was changing the names. But here it says it's fire 3. So I'm going to go to fire 3 in my browser, just as the actual fire. So fire 03. I'm going to turn off the distortion. And I'm just going to hit save. And then I'm going to go full screen. And now we're getting a little bit of that distortion, but it looks like it's coming from another one. So distortion's cool, I just don't want it on the character. So I gotta get this one now. Yeah, this one, which it says it's fire 14. So we're gonna come back in here. We're gonna go fire 14. Open that up. Fire 14, we're gonna turn off the distortion and we're gonna save. Come in here. And now we have all the fire, but we're not getting any of that warping on the character. I don't mind the warping on the other parts of this frame. I just don't want it on the actual character itself because it's basically destroying the character. And that will be very hard to do. So this is looking good. A lot more I want to do on the character themselves as far as like the materials. There's definitely some elements there that need to be worked on. We should probably put a material, even though I don't know if it has materials. Let's see. I'll probably have to re-import that scepter. So let's just grab like a mega scan surface of a riverbed. Yeah, it's not wanting to go on there. And all these particles are killing me. I can't select them. Show particle sprites. There we go. Let's just toss something on here. Yeah, this needs UVs and it doesn't have them. I should have put those on before I left Zbrush. Because no matter what I put on, it's just going to be kind of messy. We can also come in here. We can select each one of these. I can browse to it. So now it's here, and I can come in here and create whatever else I wanted, right? Like if I wanted to do an emissive color. This is what I was thinking about doing. I don't know which piece this is. Let's see. Let's just choose. Let's choose the hands. Browse to that. Okay. I want to try seeing what happens if I also did like to the emissive color. Nothing. It's like working but not working. Where did I find the fires from the marketplace? Let me find them for you. Oh. It was one of the first ones. We'll deal with this later. Marketplace. I just searched fire. And then I made it free. And it was this one. So you see it's got a ton of reviews. 159 reviews. And it was great. 5 stars. Love it. Easy to use. Easy to adjust. All right. It's good though. I like it. All right. There's some stuff I want to continue adjusting. We can turn off. Actually, does viewport 2 show it? Interested. Window, viewport. Oh, no. Window, viewport 2. Oh, cool. So viewport 2 still has the particles, whereas 1 doesn't. That's nice. This one, I want to hit G on, though. This one. So this is like my actual shot. And I think I might even like go up a little bit or down a little bit. Get close on that ground piece. We'll figure out what we're going to do with that. Let's come over here. There was a big fire in here that I liked. Apparently you can't see it when it's not there. Let's get this thing, and I'm going to put it on the right-hand side because it's kind of obscured now. So I'm going to grab another one and just toss it over here, so that there's some lighting in the background here. It's kind of catching the backs of these little trees and all that stuff. I feel like that feels nice. Maybe a little further in. Oh, it's too big. Is Unreal really real time, or do you need to tweak some viewport settings to get a reasonable performance? Everything I'm doing on stream right now is real time, so I think it is. I don't see why it necessarily wouldn't be. It's a little weird with those lights back there. Just how bright it is. It's not really changing the lighting. Oh, it is. There we go. Just a little bit. I don't want it to be like blown out, but I don't want it to feel like there's just like a random light back there, which is kind of what it feels like right now. So I might just delete that. Find a different one. I think that's helpful. And then I'm going to grab one of these that didn't have lights. Get some embers. That doesn't do anything. That's like a weird Doctor Strange portal. We're not doing that one. Let's try this one. Probably this one's fine. Can't see it. Not really affecting the shot anyways. This one is cool though. Let's get some more of these. Just kind of trying to place it so it's still kind of in frame, but not. Did I make the 3D model? I made the 3D model of the character. Everything else I did not make. Is it possible to make a series like Arcane fully in Unreal? That's a good question. I would imagine so. I mean, it would all depend on. I mean, so much of what Arcane is about is the artistry that goes into it. So it would still be an incredible amount of work. I don't think it would make it, you know, a million times easier. But I think it's definitely doable. Yeah, I like that back there. Just kind of burning this whole house. Kind of silhouetting that barrel is nice, especially amongst all this other stuff. Even if we just duplicated it. I don't like this little polygon here, so I'm going to get some bushes or something. I'm just dragging a Megascan asset. It's probably kind of right in front of the camera, so I think it's like right here. So I'm going to go mega scans, assets, go through these. Let's just grab like a mossy rocks. That's fine. There it is. It's right there. Some of these fire sprites are losing their intensity because we're over our texture budget right now, which is fine. I'll adjust that later. You can see we're losing some of our stuff as we've duplicated this over so many times that the textures just don't look as good. I'm sure that has to do with this existing. I don't think I need all of these anymore. We'll go ahead and save. All right, we got some texture issues, so it's not quite at the fidelity that it was earlier. That's okay. I'm going to close this. I'm going to go to content, perspective, shot cam. I think we'll get there with this one. I'm feeling pretty good about it now that I kind of have a good composition for what it's going to look like. So saving that. But that's going to pretty much get close to wrapping up the stream for today, everybody. Happy to answer any more questions while we get to this point. I'm going to also just reboot the program and see if it keeps it or not. See if that might fix it immediately. Still looking low res. There we go. And then let's play around with our shot cam. And we're going to adjust. I could try a different lens here, but I like what I had. And let's adjust our current. Let's play with some focal length. This is nothing. Let's pick this. I'm just tweaking the sliders off screen for focus distance. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. I think that, in another couple hours, I can probably get to a point where I'll have this scene ready to be, pretty much done. Like, meaning I'll have the scene itself mostly done, and then I'll spend a little bit of time on the character, probably just posing, maybe doing some little additional stuff for the costume, the materials. Some of that I could also do in paint over too, so I'm not super worried about it. So this is probably going to be the end. I'm imagining this will be the last stream on this character, actually. So this will be the last of our magician. Thank you, everybody who's been tuning in today. Been a good stream today, so I appreciate you all being here. As always, like, follow, subscribe if you're enjoying what you're watching. That helps us a ton. And also, there's a lot more content like this if you're interested in that. Yesterday on Tuesday evenings, we have our Creature Corner where you can watch Jared Kraszewski sculpt creatures from scratch. He also talks about the process of that, so if that's something you're interested in, please do. You can also check out on Fridays Voice in the Hollow, where Tran Ma and Miguel Ortega are creating a short film from scratch. They're about 11 weeks into the project. I think it's going to be like a 25-week-long project or so, so check that one out. And just generally, stay tuned to any socials for this more kind of stuff. Next week, I will not be here. I will not be streaming, so I'm taking a week off to go on vacation, and I'll be back the following week. That week, I will be probably starting a new character, since I'm feeling like this one is close enough that I can render and do, final touches and get to a good presentation point. So I will be close to done with this one. So thank you all very much. Really appreciate it. And I will see you all soon. Thanks, everybody.